What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And, you always hear like the ladies out there complaining, there's just no good guys left out there and stuff, But I'll tell you, ladies, this is one of the best guys that I've gotten to know right here. He's a hell of a dude, and he's single. He is the Stadtlander. My buddy, Rich. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, Bill?
But so yeah, we've gotten to know each other the past year and connected on so many things, which we'll get into as we talk through this episode. But one thing that I've told you is just like you're a dude with a good heart and a good friend, and you've done a lot for a lot of people, and you still do a lot for me, man. So it's like we've been talking. It's like let's get you on here and get some of your story out there, man. But usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get a little bit of a background. So, originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I wanted to be Superman, actually. I've always had this obsession with Superman, the character. And when I was growing up, I like I said, I just had the obsession, and I was 2 years old, and my dad has reconnected with me in life. That's another story, but I was 18, but he's told me this story many times, and that he's never been so scared in his life. We lived in this place called Discovery Bay, and it was on the water, and this called the Delta in the Bay Area. It's kind of an extension of the bay. Well, anyway, he taught me how to swim at a pretty early age, and I just took off and was really good at it. And one time I got out back, and my parents were both kind of addicts. Well, my mom was definitely, my dad arguable, self-diagnosis, of course. And I jumped off a second story balcony, and all I heard was Superman, and I jumped off into the water. And I mean, because I've just always had this fascination with just wanting to fly, just being able to lift off your feet and just fly, and I've kind of held on to that belief. So, for long story short, I've always wanted to be Superman. So, and that carried over into,
how old were you when you did that?
2 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, where were they at?
I don't know, man, but my dad just saw me in the water, 2 stories down. I jumped off. It was probably like 15, 20 feet, and but and I just came up laughing, like I was, when you're a child, you're just not, I don't know.
No fear, you
no
don't know.
Fear. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So, it kind of carried over into, I don't know, man. If you believe in fate, you believe in, your path, and things are just supposed to be the way they're supposed to be, for you to be who you are, eventually, long story short, man, my parents got a divorce, and, they're both really bad addicts, and I went through some turbulent times. My mom ended up getting custody of me, and her addiction just kind of grew and grew and grew. And, I look at it as a miracle that I turned out the way I did, because really on paper, I feel like I should have turned out to be in jail, I mean, who knows, a criminal, not a good person. And, I've always had this heart and this empathy, for people. And I never really like to, talk about myself so much. And I was 16, and I ran away from foster care, and I ran away to Wisconsin. I found my real sister. And the only thing I knew, I only met her like twice in my life, and she's significantly older than me. And I just remembered her last name was Joyce. and that she had lived in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Well, at the time I called 411, and I found everybody with the last name Joyce, and I ended up finding her aunt, and she had told me that she had moved to Wisconsin. And so I found her. I was like, hey, it's your baby brother. I'm all grown up. Mom decided to leave. I have no idea where she is. I'm in foster care. I don't know what to do. I don't want to live like this. And I dropped out of high school. And fortunately, I got a work permit, and I was working at a restaurant as a host and a busser. And I had saved up money. It's this kind of pre-addiction, era. And she's like, you can come out here if you want, if you can make your way out here. So, this is pre-September 11th. I had just bought a plane ticket, and I got a ride to the Oakland airport at like 4:00 in the morning through a van service. And I went to Wisconsin, got a one-way ticket. They didn't even ID me. They didn't even care. They're just like, okay, and, nobody was looking for me. It was just was what it is, and, but, so we were poor, really happy, but, I was also happy, I had some family, and my sister was on probation. Her future husband was on parole. And I guess technically I was a legal runaway, and, that my brother-in-law taught me a lot about life. He was a kid who made a lot of mistakes, and he never went back. He never became a statistic of recidivism, and he just worked his ass off and did a lot of Joe jobs, and we just kind of survived, and, but he's also the first one who gave me my first guitar. And so, I always had like a deeper sense of feeling. And so a lot of people say that I feel so deeply, and like, I'm also like, maybe I'm sensitive, but I'm also sensitive to, what is going on in the world. And that kind of makes me able to pick up, what is going on a lot of times, and see indicators, and see where the puck is going, to be able to skate to where the puck is going, if you will. It's a famous Wayne Gretzky quote.
Yeah, I kind of noticed too, speaking for myself and how we've gotten to know each other through, online meetings, recovery meetings and stuff. I mean, we are, so like empathetic or overly sensitive, and we don't know how to take all those emotions in life. And that's when it's almost easier to start numbing, and finding things to numb, because this doesn't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable in my own skin right now. What can I do to try and like be normal around these people, And then that's when it starts. But I wanted to ask, you mentioned you got your first guitar, your brother got you your first guitar, and I know you've done music. Like, when did that journey start off for you?
So, yeah, I was I was 15, 16, and I had started just collecting CDs, and I just got into like rock music. I felt the vibe, and it just connected with me so much. And I was 18, and I made a decision, man. And I guess it's the fruits of being young, but I just made a decision that I'm going to be a singer, and I'm just, that's my goal in life, and, so I moved back to San Francisco Bay Area. I'd reconnected with my father, and I just met these guys at this party this one time, and I never really sang a day in my life, really. I mean, like, I listened to Deftones, Incubus, Machine Head.
And like, what do you think attracted you to the vocals and wanting to be a singer?
Yeah, definitely that style of music, and I had always imagined that I was going to be like a singer, like, say like Brandon Boyd from Incubus, and so when I met these guys, I was just like, I said, I'm a singer. Do you guys play? I totally looked at them. I was like, hey, I kind of stereotyped them, if you will. And this one guy's like, I play guitar, and the other guy's like, I play drums, and the next day we're jamming in this garage, my neighbor's garage. He's really cool at the time. and let us jam. And all out of nowhere, dude, I'm just hearing this double bass roll that I've never heard before, and this crunchy, crazy tone guitar, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do to this? And they're like, I don't know, man, just scream. And I'm like, okay. And I got on a microphone, and my voice just like was just so compatible with this microphone, and I just started screaming, and I just harnessed this rage and this inner turmoil that I've had, going on. So I've just felt so alone so many times in my life. And it was like a spiritual awakening, and they're like, dude, you have the voice of a demon. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah, dude, we actually have a band. Do you want to be in our band? And I was like, yeah. And then the rest was history, man. And before you know it, like I started getting a lot of notoriety in the San Francisco Bay Area hardcore metal scene. And then I started just getting picked up, by other projects. And then I got one good shot. But the thing was too, is I also found alcohol, and I found cocaine, and I also sabotaged, a lot of opportunities I've had in music. And I keep reliving this. I've kept reliving this pattern where I get almost like I call myself the king of almost, and I get these great opportunities. I was working with this really big band at the time. Deathcore was like the biggest thing at the time, and we were playing really big shows with Suicide Silence, Job for a Cowboy, and we were like one of the founding fathers of deathcore. And I decided, that it wasn't drinking, it wasn't drugging. The problem was the music was the problem. That was the one thing that was, bringing the monster out of me, and I kept and I didn't realize that drinking and drugging was actually like, so unconsciously my priority, right? Because I protected that. It was like everything else was the problem, but not this, not this. And so
the stuff that's keeping me from this is the problem,
right. And so I moved to LA, and I got the itch again, and I built up another band. We playing huge shows, getting all these opportunities, and like I've been like this undercover guy in the music industry. Like people have known who, like big people have known who I am, but they're like, we don't want to work with this guy because he is a terrible, terrible drug addict and alcoholic. And I kept repeating this pattern, man, where I just like these like amazing projects and these amazing things would come my way, and I would just destroy it. I would destroy it all. And it was as if like I wouldn't let anything outside destroy it. If I'm going to destroy my life, I'm going to destroy my life.
Yeah, self-sabotage.
Right. The only person that's going to destroy this is me, and that's where I was comfortable. And, and so it's been hard trying to break that pattern, and I've done that many, many times,
Yeah, we were talking at my home group meeting last night, about fourth step inventories and how it helps you find the patterns, and why are you attracted to this certain type of woman, and then that, and then it ends up in a disaster. Why you, keep repeating these different patterns, and then when you do your inventory and go through it, fearless, moral inventory, you start to see those and figure out how to break them. But I still, I can totally still relate like to that uncomfortableness and that self-sabotaging, man. It's like I still struggle with that today, and I got 12 years without drinking and drugging.
Yeah, it's
just crazy.
Almost,
you start getting uncomfortable with like, what do I do now if I succeed? Then there's more expected of me. There's more responsibility. There's more of this. So if I succeed, I'm out of my comfort zone. So I better self-sabotage and stay here,
Right. It's fear of success, it's been it's a wild ride, man. I mean, one way to look at it, like I get so mad at myself. I'm like, why? Because like, we're surrounded with a lot of great musicians, and it's like God is like kind of saying like you belong, in this echelon, great musicians, and I'm grateful for that, although I didn't really do much with my career, as of yet, I, at the same time, sobriety has taught me that, my biggest gift, is empathy. It's not drowning my sorrows and numbing myself out. It has been empathy. It has been, the ability to see, to be awake, to see indicators of life and where in the trajectory of this planet. And it's been the wildest ride. It's also been painful, but I've also been able to stay sober. And in sobriety, I've had the opportunity to record like at some huge studios and with some big people. And and right when COVID happened, I was recording an album with a major label, and I was like, this is it, this is my shot, I'm not gonna fuck this up. And then COVID hit, and I was like, and everything was just shattered again, and I was like, oh, why? But I didn't drink about it. And prior to that, I had worked my way up to another deal, and we were doing really well and working with another major label. And they decided to pull the rug on it last second, shelve it, and I drank. I relapsed after a year and 10 months. But it was the greatest blessing because I didn't work a program. I did stay sober for a year and 10 months, but I white knuckled it, and I wasn't giving it to God. I wasn't. It was, my ego was building up, and I look at it as if, God was like, you're not ready, and it couldn't be truer. I've put together 4 years, a little over 4 years now. And, I've helped so many people, and, it's just, got to keep the faith,
Yeah. I wanted to go back a little bit too, because I remember, as you were making it a name for yourself in the scene, and you shared with me previously about you were one of those guys that relocated a lot, and I wanted to touch a little bit about your time in Hawaii, the Hawaii hardcore scene. Hear a little bit about that.
Oh man, yeah. So I had left Huntington Beach, and decided to go to Hawaii. I just kind of once again repeated this cycle, and I'm kind of going through it right now in a way. I had a really good friend who was a really big rock star, and we ended up reconnecting out in Huntington Beach, and he ended up pretty much committing suicide, arguably. And also I had a relationship which this girl deserved an Academy Award. Just out of nowhere, after dating for about 7 months, she said, I'm moving in with my ex-boyfriend, we're over. And I'm like, whoa. So I just decided, I'm just gonna go to Hawaii and die. I just wanted to drink the way I wanted to drink. And I just didn't think I'd accepted my fate. I accepted that I was going to die this way. And that's just what I was going to do. And so I ended up going out to Hawaii, and I got a job on a cruise ship. And I worked on this cruise ship, and, shockingly, I had really got like my drinking under control, for the most part. And then one night I got really wasted, and I had moved up in this cruise ship. I became a firefighter on board, and life was kind of going well. And this guy sucker punched me, and I ended up getting into a big fight. And needless to say, they dropped me off. They left me in Maui. They're like, good luck getting home. You cannot leave until the Coast Guard notifies you. So I was stuck in Hawaii. And so I went to where we do our best thinking, which is the bar. And I took a taxi to the bar, and was like, what am I going to do? And so I decided, I mean, if I go back to San Francisco, I go back to LA, they're going to find me. They're going to throw me in military prison. You have to have a military ID in order to work on a cruise ship. And so I decided to go to Honolulu, and I stayed in a hostel for like 5 months. And my drinking and drugging was so terrible. And the hostel was like $15 a night, you know, and I worked random Joe jobs. I worked security at a country bar. I worked, I got a great job and I blew that because I got too wasted, you know, everything. I mean, I just got wasted and I just destroyed everything, you know, and eventually worked my way up to just grabbing a job, you know, kind of stayed a little stable, you know, but, you know, I got the itch again, and, you know, like I just kind of started looking for people who wanted to play metal. You know, I found out there was like a little metal scene on Honolulu, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna show these guys what, you know, what this is all about, man, you know, and sure as shit, man, I ended up finding some guys, and they weren't, you know, the greatest musicians, but, you know, people were like, dude, this guy's voice is just fucking nuts.
And they were like native Hawaiians and everything too?
Well, native Hawaiians, a lot of people, like Honolulu is filled with a lot of people who come from all over the world. You know, a lot of people work in the service industry. They they just kind of like want to come live life, experience life. You know, there's really not much in terms of a career unless you're like, you know, native Hawaiian, you're looking to become a doctor, you know, an engineer, or a firefighter, or a police officer there. Other than that, there's a lot of service industry jobs. So there's people from all over the United States, all over Japan, you know, all over the world. So it was a unique experience, you know. But I started a band called This Moment Onward out there. And before you know it, you know, I have a lot of friends in the music industry as well. And so I was just helping this promoter get some bands out there, you know. So Unearth came out, you know, I'm friends with Trevor Phipps, and Killswitch Engage. I wrestled a bear once, Carnifex, Mastodon. So all these bands just like would come out, and they'd put us on all these big bills, you know, so we'd play all these huge shows, you know, and I became like the native rock star of Honolulu. Like,
nice.
Who is this mysterious guy, like, who just stays to himself? He's quiet, he drinks a lot, and he just comes on stage and just fucking torments this microphone, you know. This man of mystery, you know. And so, but really the reality was that, you know, paradise became my hell, you know. And so I didn't really, I mean, for a while I enjoyed Hawaii, you know. I got to jump off waterfalls and, you know, go scuba diving and stuff, and then that novelty wore off, and I just kind of would just black out my windows, you know, and just hated the sun and wanted to drink, and, you know, and that's what happened, man. You know, became a, you know, just got stuck in my own prison. But yeah, man, we did well. It was what a great ride. You know, we were doing well. I mean, the music wasn't, you know, the caliber, and I hate to say it like that, you know, because I love those guys. I love them so much, and it wasn't exactly the caliber I'm used to, you know. You know, the professionalism, but, you know, the being able to start a scene, to be able to, you know, and have that local following, and, you know, we're getting invited on the local rock station to interview and stuff like that, and playing all these, you know, big shows that come through, and it was, you know, it was quite the experience, you know. And then I keep going in and out. I'm grateful for that experience though, because that's how I really truly surrendered. I fell in love with a girl, of course, and this girl saw through my bullshit, and she didn't even want me to stop drinking. She didn't want me to stop drinking. She just wanted me to stop drinking as much, you know. And she was an aspiring actress, you know, and very talented, and she wanted to go back to Hollywood, you know. And I was like, once again, drinking and drugging was my problem, you know. Hollywood, I'm like, no, I can't go. I'll die, you know. I'll die. And I'm like, but drinking and drugging will kill you, you know. The rational thinking was just crazy. And yeah, so anyway, she left, and I said I'd follow, and I didn't follow. I couldn't stop drinking, you know. and she ended up leaving me entirely. And that's when I realized, because I meant every bone in my body for the first time in my life, I actually love something more than myself and my drinking and drugging, and I promised, and I couldn't do it, and that was the epiphany. I was like, maybe I do have a problem, like a serious problem, right? And yeah, and because of that relationship, because of everything like that, I kind of made an oath, regardless if I got her back or not, I was gonna get sober, and that was the beginning of my journey.
And then what led to end up leaving Hawaii then?
Yep. Yeah. I went to Minnesota.
So it's always kind of, you've been one of those geographical guys. But so then after Hawaii, you went to Minnesota, and is that when you started in recovery? Like hitting it, or?
Yeah, I went, and I went to treatment out in Minnesota. And it was different. It was the thing about Minnesota, and this is God, in Minnesota, if you have an address, you can actually go to treatment for free. Takes a little time, but you can actually go into treatment for free, which is different than a lot of other places, and however, the treatment I went to was kind of more like an institution. There was like 150 guys, and middle of winter, and very limited on meetings, very limited on, introduction to the program. And but they give you the book, and I read some of it, and I was like, oh well, what I read seemed kind of similar, but I didn't take it very serious. It was just like, I can do this on my own, and I didn't really give it to God. I didn't understand the steps. I didn't understand you need to get a sponsor to guide you through this thing, but what I did get is I built a healthy fear of ever drinking again, and which was just my path, and a year and 10 months, I had devoted my life. I'm like, I'm going to be a rock star. I'm gonna go back to LA. I'm gonna get my girl back, all this stuff, and half of that kind of happened. It's crazy how powerful we are, as humans. And I found a little recording studio underneath a music store, and I started recording songs. And I got the opportunity to go back to LA again, and built up the steam, and people are like, oh yeah, you're that guy. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I'm sober now, and I didn't really know the meaning, like of there's sober, right, and then there's recovery. And working recovery has been, the only thing that really keeps it at bay, the monster within. But
what project was that then you started working on?
So that was a project called As in Revenge, and I've I've kept the name, I own the name, and I've tried to revamp it like 3 times. I'm trying, I'm not very privy to, how I can get this all started or everything like that, but I just wanted to coin it the brand with the band, and I wanted it to be like more like a charitable thing, giving back as opposed to just band centered, sorry. And As in Revenge be more of the brand, but yeah, As in Revenge was the project, and I'm glad that I owned the rights to that name, because it has a lot of meaning to me, and As in Revenge means like, I'm taking revenge on my addiction. I'm taking revenge on the world and these mishaps and these things that are happening through love. We're choosing love as in revenge. We're choosing to be a good person as in revenge, instead of doing what society expects from me, which is, I was low on the totem pole, man. I should have been, like I said, a criminal. I should have been so many different things. It's amazing that I turned out, just to be caring, and empathetic, because, I mean, I see addicts struggle, daily, and I know what that's like, and it's my story, and it's kind of like the same stories over and over, just different characters, different arenas, and yeah, that's what As in Revenge was really supposed to be about,
And what was that point then? Because you were talking like you really weren't, you were sober during that time back out there, but then when did you hit the point where it was just like, okay, now I got to actually work some recovery?
So I relapsed after a year and 10 months. I was working with a big management team, and working with a major label, and they pulled the rug, man. And I just didn't see how delicate, and I said, oh, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But really, I didn't mean it, it was all ego. Right.
Yeah.
And so I relapsed, and I decided to take a drink on the 4th of July, 2017, in Huntington Beach. And I said, I'm just going to take a drink on the hour, every hour, control it. And yeah. And I'll never forget taking that first sip. And it was as if something just came from my feet, all the way through my veins, all the way up to my head. And before it really hit my head, and I got that head change, the first thought that came to my mind was, God, I hope I make it back from this. Everything that I'd read in that book that I took for granted, everything that all the little grains of wisdom that I've learned along the way, in my time of not recovery, but staying sober, came true, and the miracle is like, I didn't end up, dying. I didn't end up killing anybody. It was close call. I was doing Xanax. I was drinking. I was putting cocaine up my nose, and it just got so worse. It was as if I made up for lost time. I made up for a year and 10 months of sobriety. Like, my disease was like, well, we're going to make up for this. And the miracle is that I actually put a stop to it. And I didn't have to reach rock bottom. I asked for help, and I took the help, and I didn't just like, I didn't let the disease say, oh no, I can figure this out, and so I ended up getting sent up to a place called Thousand Oaks, California, and went to treatment there, and decided to just stay, and worked in sober livings and worked in treatment, and helped a lot of people, and kind of took hiatus and started seeing, just benefits. The more I give, the more I receive. Kind of what's called the law of reciprocity. And I have faith that things will keep working out that way. It's life is a bunch of tests and trials, but yeah, I just devoted my life to recovery, and learning how to stay sober, because, if I do have, children of my own and all that, like, I just want to break this cycle. I don't want them to ever see their father drunk, and wasted. I don't want them to live like how I lived, growing up, so it's no, it's no wonder why I became an addict and alcoholic. It's also learned behavior, watching my parents and my mom especially, like, and their issues through drinking and drugging, and also partially, genetics, predisposition, of course, it runs in my family. So, it just really just, I don't know what came over me, I mean, the reality is I feel like I should be part of that, 99% of us that don't make it, that don't give into this thing, because I can very easily intellectualize my way out of this, And but I choose spirituality. I choose faith, and I choose that over fear. And I do suffer with fear, all the time. But as long as I have 51% faith over 49% fear,
Yeah.
try to stay ahead. So
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that yesterday. So then, like, when did you we're like, okay, I'm going to try and do this right. I'm going to get a sponsor. I'm going to work the steps. Um, that was at Thousand Oaks where you finally were going to do it the right way.
yeah, that's and that I did, and yeah, I mean, the first time I went through the steps, it was a learning experience. I mean, this whole recovery has been a learning experience. It's not just about going to meetings. It's about doing these steps, and then shortly after taking a shot at life and messing that up all again. And seeing that there's many layers. Like the first time I went through the steps is just like this topical layer, of why I drink, and why I'm an addict, and then second layer was like, who is Rich as a person? Why, these behaviors and this unmanageable behavior that leads back to drinking, instead of going back to drinking, I decided to go a little the next layer, and so through the pain of, being sober I decided to go through the steps again instead of going back to drinking and drugging, and I did it again, and repeated a lot of patterns in sobriety a third time. I went through the steps a third time, and it's a continued learning experience,
Well, like they say, more will be revealed, and then I've heard it always like, we're always unpeeling more layers of the onion. I know so many people that they go to meetings and they don't drink, but nothing else changes. They're still kind of a-holes to their family. They're still kind of whatever, but I'm not picking up a drink,
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And, when we're really working recovery and turning it to God, he's revealing, what needs to improve, and how many layers of this onion we got to keep peeling, because it's just like, I'm not just, and that's, when I first several years of my recovery, I kind of was just like one of those people, just a dry drunk, and then another reminder of, when you saw, like you shared that one story, that one gentleman saying, well, maybe you haven't suffered enough yet or experienced enough pain, and that's so true, because there's always, something else. If we get comfortable, there's that uncomfortableness, that pain that comes up in something, reminds you, okay, I got to do more,
yeah. It's they say, especially and it couldn't be more true, is it kind of comes down once you get sober, and you start seeing how God, as you understand God, and I use that term loosely, right? That's why I really like this program, because you can choose a conception of your own higher power. It doesn't have to be one way or another. You just have to feel that there's some type of backbone. There's some type of force out there that really is there amongst you the whole time. And the 12 talks about pain being the touchstone of spiritual growth. And the bravery and the courage it takes, for anybody, to get significant time, means that they've probably had to screw a lot of things up in sobriety, and the ability to not go back to drinking and drugging, which is our habits, right? To learn that behavior and to go forward and to actually learn from the pain, and to grow from it, is, I mean, for people like us, it's the most tremendous feat, and a lot of normies don't get it, like you're like, oh, you got 2 years sober, congratulations, you're doing it, everything you're supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
But for guys like us in our group, like we're like, man, you got 30 days, that's incredible, because it's true, man. We all suffer from an obsession of the mind, and a biology of this body, that a craving beyond, where we're not, we can't stay present, when we're drinking and enjoying ourselves, we can't stay present. We're worried about how we're going to get that next drink. We're already in the future. Like, how am I going to get that next beer? And the beer's out, like, fuck, how are we going to get more beer? Cocaine and things like that, it's,
That carries into so much too. I was thinking about, just, the learn teaching our mind how to stay in the present. Like, and I'm actually engaged in listening to you talk. And, where before, when I first started doing this, and this podcast has been like therapy for me to be comfortable talking with people again without needing alcohol or drugs or something, but, when I first started, it'd be like I was already thinking about the next question while they were talking and not listening to anything anybody was saying, and it's just like, this program, helps you just stay in the present, man. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy what's going on,
yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, it was, I'll still find myself like with that adult ADHD and stuff like that. And that kind of brings me to another thing that I think me and you have talked about before, with, like dual diagnosis. There's so many of us with, other things that we're struggling with. And that's, alcohol was just like, the Band-Aid or the coping mechanism, to deal with that. And it's not until we're willing to dig into those roots, because we can keep trimming the leaves and the branches and stuff, but stuff grows back. It's not until we dig down in the roots that we can really experience the healing,
Yeah, no, I mean, I've worked, I'm so grateful for my experience, in working in recovery. It's also shined a light a lot on me personally, but it's been this crash course in, especially addictive behavior, but human behavior as a whole, and, yeah, I mean, with it's just been the craziest experience, man. Like, and I don't necessarily know where it's leading me, what the point was entirely. I know that my sobriety is stronger than it's ever been. I know that without this group, our group of guys, and without working this program the best of my ability, that I don't stand a chance. It's it's been just the biggest learning experience I've ever. I've watched miracles. I've watched families reconnect. I've watched people die. Like, there was a kid a little over a year ago, man, and I couldn't save him. He was dead for a couple hours, and I was trying to Narcan him, and he was dead on my kitchen floor. He's probably dead for a couple hours, and giving him CPR, and finally the paramedics arrived, and he's been dead for hours, and and then I had one other incident where I Narcan somebody and brought him back to life, and it's the wild thing, and especially nowadays with the opiate crisis and the fentanyl, like it's killing people, man. It's just it's crazy, and us traditionalists, I like to call us the alcoholic traditionalists, I don't know what's worse. I don't know, because sometimes you think about it, when you're in active alcoholism and active addiction, it's something that won't kill you right away. It's something that makes you wish you were dead, for a long time. And I know for a fact, like for 10 years, I just wanted to die, and, I can manipulate my way. I can get all these amazing things and have these amazing experiences, but in the back in the background, I just wanted to, and then you see fentanyl and just, taking kids and people out like that, And
well, I know too, like, I mean, for me, it wasn't like when I was going out at night or whatever, and I knew I was going to go party with my friends. It wasn't like I didn't jump right into cocaine.
Yeah.
I didn't jump right into, some of the other stuff I was doing out there. I started with a couple drinks. It always started with that first drink.
Yeah.
I got comfortable with a couple drinks. I'm like, I'm liking this drinking. I want to keep drinking tonight. Well, let's do a couple key bumps to keep the party going. And
Yeah.
it was, I cannot think of any night where I was just like, I'm not going to drink, but I really want to do a couple lines. I don't know. That just wasn't me. It was always started with the drink, or the thoughts when I was out, like, when I was first trying to be a good dad when my kids were first born, and I'm just going to go out for a little bit so I can be home, tuck my kids in, or not being hungover tomorrow morning because we got plans, and then it didn't happen because I stayed out, and because I had that first drink that opened up all the other stuff, and then it opened up like the chasing the other women, and but that, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I think that's the story of a lot of us, and so I don't know, like, when we talk about this epidemic we're dealing with that should be getting more coverage in the media, than this other thing with fentanyl. I mean, are they jumping right into fentanyl, or does it start with that drink and then I'm going to go do this stuff and it's end up being laced and killing me now, So
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier before we went on air about my shirt, and talking about Tim Lambesis, and his addiction of steroids and things, and I met a lot of people who are just, I don't like alcohol. I like fentanyl and I like meth or whatever, and that's the thing, man, is like, for me personally, like my very foundation, just like you're talking about, was like, I had to have a couple drinks no matter what. And then the rest was like game on, like,
yeah,
everything else like, oh, cocaine, oh, Xanax, oh, meth, oh yeah, let's do it, But if I didn't have a couple of drinks, I mean, it was just, like it didn't make sense,
feel like you stood a chance, if you didn't have those drinks, to say no to the other stuff, at least for me.
Oh
But
yeah, like
I
I wouldn't
guess,
just go like, oh, I just feel like doing, Xanax or fentanyl today, like, but drinking, is so accessible, is so necessary for my body chemistry, like I had to have it, and but you see the addiction, addiction itself, like people go, like, especially when they enter treatment, they don't understand that alcoholism and addiction, are the same exact thing, and they think, oh, I'm just addicted to alcohol. I used to be an alcoholic, but now I'm just addicted to that. No, it's exactly the same. It's a way of thinking. It's not just, oh, I'm addicted to a substance, therefore I'm an alcoholic. Like, it's a way of thinking. It's the behavior underneath the alcohol and the drugs that lead you to use that substance to drown out things, to numb yourself out,
yeah.
to not deal with the real world. And especially right now, I mean, the fact that, we're staying sober, we have a group of guys who are staying sober and really on the pursuit of, staying sober, getting sober, even, in this unpredictable time, is just mind boggling, like it's so easy to give up. It's the greatest excuse, to go out and drink. Like, I've seen it over and over, like, oh, coronavirus, I'm going to go drink because it doesn't even matter. I was trying to say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that word. We'll call it that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's man, it's,
Well, you got me thinking too. Like, I mean, I guess to kind of shoot what I was saying earlier in the foot, I mean, one of the things that I've talked to you and some of the guys about, is struggling with food. It's like I found something else that I still, when I'm looking to numb whatever anxiety or discomfort I'm dealing with. Another way I self-sabotage. I'm finally doing well with fitness and nutrition, and I'm losing weight. And now people are paying attention to me, and I'm feeling uncomfortable, and I might be reaching something with the jujitsu and stuff that I've been in, reaching certain goals. So then I'm going to self-sabotage because I'm feeling uncomfortable. So then I'm going to comfort myself with food, and there, I guess it is easy to pick up all these other things. Before it would be, I was sober and going to school, and I'm trying to be better, get better and be a better example for my daughters. But then I'm hooking up with some of my classmates, and, I'm chasing the women around and stuff like that, another addiction, you know? So yeah, it's just to feel, to numb that anxiety and discomfort or whatever, that longing for belonging or something.
Yeah. And, it's been like for me, it's been a developmental, like, just hindrance, if you will. Like every time I would get so close, to like these dreams that I have of music, but I have these unconscious beliefs, these limiting beliefs inside of me that, like, I don't deserve this, and I would just destroy it, and it's this fear of success that I'm unaware of, right? But it runs my life, and as an alcoholic, we suffer from 1,000 different forms of fear, and the fact that I'd rather just go to something that I'm comfortable with, which is, misery, chaos, and hell, instead of, just going for it. You never know. And yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect, and I've recently done another geographical. I'm in Tennessee now, and I was in Southern California for a while and had a kind of a traumatic thing happen, and I just didn't see myself like going in a good direction if I stayed, and so I just kind of took a shot, and I'm trying to believe that I didn't run away. I ran to something, running for a reason, not running away, but running to something, as I said. And it's all dependent on my faith,
And you didn't pick up a drink this time too,
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Working this program with our fellows, and so it's like there's still some patterns, and now we get to work on them, sober and with clearer eyes, and see them more obviously now.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you too then, I mean, and we've talked a little bit about this, you're out in Tennessee now. Music is still on your heart. It's something that you still are looking to pursue, that you have a gift for. What kind of like what goals do you have set for yourself coming up here? Well, I mean, here we are in 2022 now. What goals have you set for yourself for this year?
Well, I don't know, man. It's the music industry seems to be so unpredictable at the moment. It's I've thought about it. I've prayed on it. And it's funny that I've been praying on this, and my heart, that's all I want to do, man. Is all I want to do is play music and help people, through this program. And like that's the most genuine thing that I want to do. Like everything else seems like it's just so foreign. It doesn't compute. It doesn't meet my biology, and then as soon as I start praying for it, you asked me to do this podcast, you have me send out some tracks and, to you guys. And I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but hey man, listen to my music, it's like, I come as an individual, I come as an alcoholic first, and, as I've grown with you guys, like in this last year, like you got to know me, and I've got to know you guys, and that's the most important thing. In some regards, if this is, God trying to send me a message, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go after this. I mean, another time, maybe one more time, and I feel like in my heart I got one more in me, and this time it's just like, am I going to do it right, or am I going to get scared again? And
Yeah, hopefully just one more run with music, not one more run with the other stuff. Maybe
right,
you needed this time for God to prepare you for, you weren't. I mean, and you can look back. I know I can look back at a lot of things, that opportunities, because I've done, the concert promotion thing, and I've been involved with the music industry in that regards and formed friends with people. But, for the bigger things, that the opportunities I wanted and I thought I could do in these grandiose ideas or whatever, they were selfish and self-centered, and I wasn't ready for any of that stuff, you know? And I
right,
look back then like, okay, that's why these things fell through, because I wasn't ready. God, but you know, you pray about it, and God's preparing us, to be ready for whatever that is. But to also, like you said, we're grateful for more of the relationships and the helping others, and I think that's God. Once God, I think, sees our heart where it's supposed to be at, where he wants it, that's when the blessings and the gifts come. And I think there's blessings and gifts definitely headed your way, man.
thank you, brother. Yeah, I mean, I really I really believe what you just said there, man. I really do. I believe that, God knows what I want in my heart, and I think that this is everything's happening the way it's supposed to happen in order to be who I am right now and to where I'm supposed to go. Whatever I'm supposed to learn, and he's opening doors, and it's my choice whether or not to walk through them. And that's the free will aspect of this. I pray every morning for God's will for me. I don't necessarily know what God's will is, but I know what it isn't. I know it's for me not to be a dickhead, drinking, drugging, and hurting people. The reality is I've hurt a lot of people along the way, and I made a lot of amends. Some of them don't want to hear it from me, including a couple former bandmates. They don't want to hear it from me. They're so pissed at me. Like, they're like, we were so close and you destroyed everything. I'd never played music really again, because of that experience. And I'm like, and that's something I have to live with. And, it's like, what can I do to make it right? Well, you can fuck off and die. I'll get right on that. It's it's a constant battle of atonement, trying to make things right and trying to help others, and I don't know what I'm meant for. I really don't. Like, in my heart, kind of comes back to the Superman thing. When I was younger, I've always felt different. I always felt like I was meant for greatness, and I have the ability. I mean, I think we all do. I really do. I argue a lot of times, with the Bible. People, Jesus talks about being the Son of God, and I think he was saying that we're all the sons and daughters of God, that we all have a divine spark inside of us, that God lives within us, and that we're all capable of so many amazing things, and if you believe it, you can, and you conceive it, you can achieve it. I've lived by that, and I've done it so many times, but every time I get to the frontier, I get to this point, I destroy it. I just, and I don't know
Because
why.
the fear thoughts,
Yeah.
the
I get to
fear
this
thoughts
point
take
and
over.
it's like, well, what if this happens? But I don't think about, well, what if it doesn't, what?
Yeah.
And, and it's easy to be like, I can grovel over. I can be like, oh God, such an idiot, go drink about it, or I can get up and do it again, I mean,
I know for me, back when I was in my addiction too, man, it was just like, it was so easy to, blame others. Like, I even blame God when things didn't, oh, you're just screwing with me. You don't want this for me and whatever. It's just like, No, man, I just want you to be ready for what you're supposed to be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was, recently, like I got into a mode where I was almost on the verge of blaming God, but as I've worked these steps multiple times, I've come to see that change is inevitable, and usually when something changes or something seems painful on the surface, it's an opportunity for me to grow. It's an opportunity to break through something, and because of that, especially with everything I just went through recently, was one of the most painful things I've ever been through, and but what I can say is that a drink never crossed my mind. Going back to drinking and drugging didn't cross my mind. And as you grow in this program, it's so easy to just be like, oh, that's nothing, But the reality is, like, for people like you and me, that is the biggest miracle. Like, oh, it's just that's nothing. But I mean, it really is a big miracle, because like if this happened, what happened just recently,
Yeah.
I would have gone back to drinking and drugging easily like that, and that didn't even cross my mind. And so my point is that, even though change is scary, it's inevitable, but I'm more welcoming of it. I'm not as fearful of it as I was, say when I first started this, this journey, this time around. It's been hard, and I had the opportunity to reconnect with my ex-fiance from Hawaii, and I got her to smile, and I don't think we'll ever end up back together, ever again. And but just knowing that, like, I made her smile, and that there was like a sense of forgiveness, and I got to tell her that, like, I've kept my word. I stayed sober. That relationship didn't mean nothing to me. You meant everything to me, and for me to really broadcast that and say that I did what I promised, and I made a promise to myself, to God, to her, that I would. I mean, that's like true love. And
Yeah.
and for her just to smile and not hate me. Like, that was like I was on cloud nine. I felt like I had achieved so much. Like, and I mean, I accepted the fact that we're probably never gonna get back together. But that was just such a significant time in my life. And I mean, there's so many different blessings. It's just how you look at them. You made fun of me for being the butterfly guy, right? You're like,
yeah, you gotta share that now.
This guy talks about butterflies, and he's got this voice of a demon. Like, what is it, right? But I mean, it really does fall down to, like, the lenses that we wear, the glasses that we choose to wear, and so we can't have expectation, or we can if you want, of course. I say can't, because I choose not to, but if we have expectations of how our blessings are supposed to be packaged, we're going to miss out on life, because then we fall into the arena of being the director. The lights have to be this way, if life was just this way, and when we start acting like that, man, we fall apart,
Yeah. Well, now you touched on the butterfly thing, so now you got to share the story.
Oh, come on, man.
Don't leave the audience hanging.
Oh, jeez. All right. Stupid.
I mean, honestly, I was busting your chops, but it was a beautiful story, and it's about what we just talked about with our perspective, our lenses.
Yeah, I like. Well, the reason why I like to tell stories is because there's a statistic out there that, like, I think was it 90% of people will remember stories instead of facts and statistics. And so, but people will remember a story. And so, like, whenever I share, I like to tell, like, little stories, little parables, if you will, to kind of, really sink into them, just like, oh man, well, it's a sales thing, but So there once was a man, who cried out to God. Said, God, I need your help. I need you. I need to hear you. Please say something. And God, thunder roared through the sky, and the God and the man, he didn't listen, and the man decided to go, God, please, I need to know you're there. I need to see you, please. Like, can I see you at least? And out of nowhere, after the thunder roared, clouds parted, a star shined so brightly in the sky. But the man, he didn't notice, and the man said, God, please, I'm desperate. I need a miracle. I just need a fucking miracle. And the man didn't realize that at that very moment a life was born, and the man didn't take notice of that. And he said, God, please, I need to feel you. I need to know that you're with me. I need to feel your presence, and please touch me. I need to know you're there. And God did touch the man, but the man decided to brush the butterfly off his shoulder. And the moral of the story is that you'll miss out on all your blessings if you have expectations of how they're supposed to be packaged. So
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that story, and I loved when you shared that with our group. And like I said, I mean, I've got to hear your tracks, and yes, you do have the voice of a demon. And I was just, having a little fun. But
Yeah.
that's an awesome story, dude. Because I know, I've gotten to know your heart too. So it's like, you know, it's been an incredible honor and a privilege. We've been on for like a little over an hour. I wanted to, before we get ready and wrap up, I wanted to ask you some of the questions that I normally ask
Sure.
guests that I have on. Uh, and since you're, big music fan, you mentioned some bands earlier, but who are your top three bands?
Oh man, top three bands. Oh gosh, that's a tough one. Um, you know, it's funny because in our group we make fun of bassists, and drummers, and because half of them are bassists and drummers, right? Um, but what makes it for a band for me, is anybody can play music, but there's something that brings it together. The glue is a singer, and that's why I always wanted to be a singer. I always wanted to be a front man, and hopefully I'll have the chance to perform again someday. And it's like it just develops that it factor, that presence. Like, holy shit, like they're like damn near demigods, like amongst men. And so for me, growing up, Chino Marino from the Deftones had that presence, that ominous presence to me. And I'm top three, Chino Marino. So Deftones, we'll say. I'm gonna say old school Incubus. I think they're kind of like the Led Zeppelin of our time. I listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin back in the day. And now I'm gonna go super metal. Man, that's a rough one, man. That's rough. Man. I mean, as a whole, I love As I Lay Dying. I can name a million bands. In terms of presence of voice, Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel, Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. They have something, that just dictates human behavior. They can say move left and they'll move left, kill each other. And they're just like, it's just the wildest thing, But anyway,
Nice.
that's
And then, is there a particular song that's you feel has inspired you, like that's been like a go-to? It never gets old. Whenever you need a pick me up or something, it's on your playlist.
Hmm. Um, Well, recently, I mean, I guess recently, like, I'll go with My Own Grave by As Lay Dying. It's very relatable. I've been the destruction of chaos. I've caused all my problems. I've destroyed my life over and over again. And so it's really relatable. Um, that heavy intonation, which I love. So that's been a really big go-to for me as of late. I used to Temple of the Dog, which was Chris Cornell and part of Pearl Jam's project. There was a song that I used to listen to like every night before I went to sleep, and it's called "Say Hello to Heaven."
Yeah.
That song right there basically helped me through age 15 to 18, and I never realized, like, when he died, like I couldn't stop crying, and it was like a part of me was just died. It was just the craziest thing. That song right there, like that got me through a lot of really, really hard times, unpredictable. And I was only 15, on my own, and pretty much, paying rent with my sister and, my brother-in-law. So.
Gotcha. And then what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school?
Oh my gosh. How about a lesson in the Constitution, man? Like a deep dive into your rights, and the difference between a law and a mandate,
Yeah.
But about how the power resides in the people, and that's where the ultimate say, and that, I think a big lesson, a true lesson, like of what the meaning of those documents and all that stuff is, to really learn about, your rights as a sovereign citizen, So that'd be my best suggestion.
I know, and that goes into a whole nother episode we'll do in the future.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff we talked about, but 3 people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today.
Oh, Well, my brother-in-law, he just said life's too short, basically. And he just kind of, like I said, inspired me to go after the music. I tried to go to college once, and I took a English class, and I wrote this paper, man. This guy was just like, for Mr. Morris, I think. I don't remember his name, but he made me drop out of school. Actually, he was like, dude, what are you gonna be? You gonna be a writer? Like what's the point of going to school? You're way more talented than going to college. And I don't say that for kids at home, like, go to school, but he was like, I wrote this paper. He used it. I don't know if he still does, but he used it for an example for a long time, and it's based off of a photograph, and write about this photograph is very, very, very simple, but I took it another level, and I went very deep in this photograph, and it was me on stage singing in a microphone, really long hair. I was reaching out to this kid, and this kid was, reaching up in triumph, and I just kind of correlated like the similarities between, just because I'm on stage and he's a fan, like we just kind of, we all suffer from the same pain. And anyway, I wrote this really, really beautiful, eloquent thing, and he was just like, dude, like, go after it, and so, and then let's see, third, I guess that would be my ex. Without her coming in my life, without falling in love with her, like, I wouldn't have really tried. I mean, could be dead. I wouldn't have tried to really go after recovery, and be alive. And be the person I am. So, I don't think I would have, never say never, but I don't know what it would take, for me to really start the process of recovery, but, without her and being that symbol, in my life to really help change my life, to make me decide, to start really changing my life for me. I don't think I don't know. I wouldn't be the person I am. So.
Nice. And then any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
Causes, organizations, huh? I mean, no, not really. I mean, I've donated a couple of things like on GoFundMe. It's I've supported August Burns Red and As I Dying in their was it the it's a Heart Foundation or something. It says on the back of my shirt. And then yeah, I mean, I wanted to start my own thing, but I mean, really, just Music Cares is great, I would like, just trying to help people like help themselves in addiction, it's especially like outside of, like, like I was telling you, Minnesota, you can go to treatment for free. Like it's such a crazy world. Like when you get into the world of treatment and you see it, like it's like, okay, this person's struggling, but we can't take him because of insurance. And they're like, it's so fucked.
Yeah.
Like this person's struggling because he's not a millionaire, or he doesn't have great insurance. We can't take him. Like, it's like, no, so it's, that's something that I would, like to change, give everybody like a real shot, and who really wants it, because there's, I've worked with billionaires, I've worked with millionaires, I've worked with, actors and musicians of all types, and this thing shows no discrimination, and they don't take this serious, and then not as serious as somebody who's so broken, so down, so in so much pain, could potentially save their entire life because they don't have anything, right?
Yeah.
They don't have anything to easily take them back. Well, at least I have all this money. I guess I can drink, I guess. That's why it's like the bottom is where you have to start, At least the only way is up, when you decide to stop falling. So
exactly, or stop digging.
Yeah.
And then what was your favorite toy as a child?
Favorite toy? I don't know, man. I really didn't have too much growing up. I guess like I had a super soaker. Like, you heard of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one of those. That was pretty cool. But yeah, in terms of toys, like I didn't really have too much of that, So super soaker, would have been cool. Yeah. Original Nintendo, which,
Yeah.
that was, that was fun. Playing like the Mario Brothers,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Thank you for your service. And keep the faith, and know that you have a whole mess of people who love you and are rooting for you, and believe that you're doing really good, and that the media doesn't dictate what patriots and people really truly believe and appreciate. So that's all I got.
Hey, man. Awesome, man. Well, hey, it's been great, man. Sharing this space with you today and getting your message out there. And as we've talked, we'll definitely have you back to touch on some other subjects. Not to give any hints away or anything, but but dude, I'm grateful for the friendship that we've formed, and like although we haven't physically met yet, the power of Zoom and recovery is strong. And Superman was actually created here in Cleveland. So if you ever you know make the trip,
I
I'll
didn't know
take you
that.
to a few places. Yeah, yeah, we got a little Superman thing out here in the area. So, um, but thank you again for your time, brother. And we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much, man. This is I hope I hope this was good, you know.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it was real. It was what it was supposed to be. So,
Perfect.
all right,
Yeah.
brother. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too, my dude. See you soon.